Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting, Guadalupe City Council, Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. Welcome, everybody. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Costa Junior,
Here.
Councilmember Fernez.
Here.
Councilmember Villegas.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
And Mayor Julian.
Here, we have a quorum. If you will, please stand with me. And after the pledge, we're going to wrap into item 3, which is a moment of thanks, appreciating condolences. So first is a pledge of allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I think if you don't mind standing for, we're going to move into item 3, which is a moment of thanks, appreciation, condolences, and if we can, and we will, moment of silence for those young individuals that were killed this past weekend, in addition to the family there that are suffering. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We need to pass the word around this time of the year with graduations to be safe. Item 4 is agenda review. At this time, the city council, if they wish to review, to change the order of business, do we see any requests to do that? Juliana? Gene? No? Moving right along, go to item 5, community participation. Those that wish to speak on items that are not on the agenda, and I have several. Start with Judy Wilson.
Good evening, council members. Communication between residents and the city council is the two-way flow of information, feedback, and dialogue between local elected officials and the community they serve. It functions to build trust, ensure democratic accountability, and empower the public to shape local policy and city operations. The ongoing lack of communication between the council, the city, and our community has been a persistent issue throughout my residency here in Guadalupe, despite the council's stated commitment to keeping the public informed. Several recent developments highlight these systematic failures. Parks and Recreation. The removal of, I believe, a 4th Parks and Recreation manager is deeply troubling. This instability, compounded by a city deficit, directly impacts our younger residents by reducing the constructive opportunities the council has stated should be a priority. Lack of transparency. I am concerned that the Cannabis Festival was reportedly in discussion for 4 to 6 months before it was finally addressed in a public council meeting. Accessibility. The current YouTube channel and video system is unreliable for residents who cannot attend meetings in person, effectively borrowing them from the civic process. I urge the council to listen to the recordings of the June 2nd Parks and Recreation Commissioners meeting. The concerns and comments shared by Commissioner Dreiling are particularly enlightening and confirm the serious communication gaps I have outlined. I brought this forward as a concerned resident to see how the city plans to address these issues and improve transparency for all Guadalupe residents, which I hope will forge a better bond between the city and community. I want to close with this proverb: serve your neighbors as you would be served yourself. Thank you for your time. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next individual is Stephanie Kraus.
Good evening, Mayor Julian, members of the City Council, and the City of Guadalupe staff. I'm here tonight to express my feelings about eliminating the recreation manager position and letting Arnulfo Navarro III go. In order to prepare myself to speak, I watched the 2 May City Council meetings on Zoom and the June 2nd Recreation Commission meeting. I also reached out to a couple of members of the council. I was respectfully told that the city does not comment on personnel matters. During the Recreation Committee meeting, I noticed the many chairs filled with seniors and they asked why NUFA was let go. Their question was not addressed directly. Instead, they were asked what programs they had experienced at the senior center. While I understand the need to have a balanced, positive budget and no deficit whatsoever, Mr. Eli had stated to the city council previously that one of the worst things a city can do is immediately start cutting lower level positions. But that, it seems like, is what was done. I think the community should have been better informed. I think some ideas should have been presented before letting the recreation manager go. For example, why couldn't the recreation manager position have been reduced in hours? Why couldn't other departments share the burden and reduce hours of operation? I'm angered that we cannot talk about the work NUFO did. It was way more than putting on events and leading fun activities for the community. It was personal. He met with citizens of all ages. He took the time to build relationships. His passions and charisma made the job human. So while you talk about the need to reduce the deficit, please remember that Guadalupe is also a living, breathing entity filled with people and bridges that need to be connected. NUFO attended multiple meetings to talk with the Guadalupe Business Association about the 80th birthday of the city. He hosted the poetry jams that started small and grew to standing room only at the Vets Hall. He was actively involved in planning the Ron Estabilo Family 5K for the summer. He did many more things. So at this point, I ask that you please make every effort to be transparent in going forward and treat your former employees with dignity when they should be able to be talked about. Otherwise, the community takes a hit. We wonder if the city has our best interests in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any more public comment. There's a couple of written comments. We're going to put them in the file as minutes of individuals that aren't here. So next item will be item. What's that? I can't hear you.
You can give public comment if you would like to. When you're done, just complete the public speaker comment
Oh,
board.
just come on up.
Okay, my name is Anita Navarro, and I'm here as a community member, not a mother. My concerns are directed at the city administrator. When you decided to shut down the Parks and Recs department, did you even consider the upcoming youth baseball program? Kickoff would have been yesterday. I'm sure you're aware the baseball field was in desperate need of baseball dirt. Arnulfo Navarro III and Mayor organized donations to purchase the dirt to get it ready for the youth program. Junior Giants that Arnulfo was able to secure the youth of our community, for our community. Arnulfo was also able to obtain sand for the horseshoe pits donated by the local sand company. He was planning on horseshoe tournaments and other field activities. A field trip and local horse farm field trips for the seniors to the Avila Aquarium, the Guadalupe's 80th celebration for the summer. He had already done so much with monthly movie nights, kite festival, cyclemania, Guadalween, and parent and child dances. I have not seen the city administrator at one event, maybe the cyclemania. Arnulfo single-handedly organized all these events that kept our youth engaged and safe. Now our youth has nothing to look forward to locally in the summer. Our city council, I'm sure you can agree how important community events are. They bridge social divides, stimulate the local economy, and preserve culture identity. Then why did you cut the program completely? Do you know this affects us? You say it was because of our city being in a deficit. So why couldn't you make the city administrator's job part-time instead? Cut a little from other departments. The Parks and Recs department is easily a 4-person job. It was crucial for the people of Guadalupe. If you really care about the community and the title you carry, I really hope you consider putting action behind thought and not ideas just become broken ideas. I'm sorry. If you are going to fill this title, you need to step it up. You owe the community that much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else out there that wish to speak on agendized item? Okay, then we will go to pardon? Can't hear you. Will you speak? No, it'll be put in the minutes.
Okay, so people online won't hear it?
It'll be put in the minutes. It'll be recorded. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 6, ceremonial calendar. Okay. I know there's several people that are here to speak on that. Is there a person that's going to receive this, or is it a group? It will be a group. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and read it and then you can talk. All right, there's a proclamation, biodiversity. Whereas the state of California has made the biodiversity protection and restoration a priority through the California Biodiversity Initiative and Executive Order N-82-20, parentheses 30-30, recognizing the importance of climate resilience, food security, and public well-being. And whereas California's climate smart strategy and state wildlife action plan call on local governments to incorporate habitat restoration, native species protection, pollinator support, and nature-based solutions into planning and community resilience efforts. And whereas the Central Coast region, including the city of Guadalupe, lies within a California floristic province and contains diverse ecosystems such as wetlands, riparian areas, coastal habitats, and working lands that support unique and sensitive plant and wildlife species both on land and offshore. And whereas these natural resources provide essential community benefits, including clean air and water, flood and wildfire protection, recreation, education, cultural heritage, and economic vitality. And whereas biodiversity faces increasing threats from habitat loss, invasive species, pollution, climate change, unsustainable development, requiring coordinated local action and stewardship. Now therefore be resolved that the virtue of and authority of vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the city council of the city of Guadalupe, I do hereby affirm the city's commitment to protecting native plants, wildlife, and coastal ecosystems in ways that are locally appropriate and feasible, and support efforts to enhance local open spaces, native landscaping, and habitat restoration as resources allow, and to commit to considering biodiversity and native plant use in the future, planting and within the city's climate action plan process, and encourage and foster partnership with tribal communities, public agencies, schools, and conservation organizations to promote environmental stewardship and education. So whereas I here to set my hand and to the seal of Guadalupe, and I really appreciate the folks that are here in support of this proclamation. So you're welcome to come up, and there's quite a few individuals that would like to speak. If you want to start with you, Mr. Eric.
Let me get out my comments here. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Julian and members of the council. I'm Eric Cardenas. I am with Santa Barbara Botanic Garden. I also happen to co-chair a regional collaborative known as the Biodiversity Working Group. It's made up of over 50 charter members from throughout the region. As close to Guadalupe as the Guadalupe Dune Center, Environmental Center of San Luis Obispo, right up the coast, Santa Ynez Botanic Garden, just down the road a little bit, and a number of my colleagues here are all part of that collaborative. I'm here mainly to thank you for your leadership and for elevating this issue of biodiversity. This proclamation recognizes that we live in a biodiversity hotspot. We're part of the California Floristic Province, which means that within this region of the Central Coast and beyond, we have thousands of native, endemic plant and animal species that occur nowhere else on this planet. So Guadalupe is in the center of that hotspot. So I love that the proclamation recognizes this. I think more importantly, we're heartened that the proclamation, as Mayor Julian just read, affirms the city's commitment to protecting and promoting native plants, wildlife, and coastal ecosystems, that it commits the city to consider biodiversity and native plants in future planning efforts through tools such as the city's climate action plan, and that it encourages partnerships throughout the community to promote stewardship and conservation. Santa Barbara Botanic Garden is 100 years old this year. We're the first garden in the entire United States to be 100% dedicated to native plants from the California Floristic Province. So if we can honor or if we can offer our resources to city council or your staff in the development of native plant lists for local landscaping, the development of landscaping ordinances for native plants, anything where we can be of service, we would like to offer that. I have a number of colleagues here with me today that will speak, who I'm sure would equally offer their expertise in a number of other areas that may not be native plants, but are sustainability related and conservation minded. Again, just thank you for your leadership, for elevating this very important issue. We're in the middle of a biodiversity crisis globally, and that reflects also here locally. I want to specifically thank Councilmember Hernandez for working with us to develop this language, and again, for just bringing this issue to our attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Eric, can I give you this proclamation and then you can share it with your,
Yeah, sure.
I'll take it to you. I will. Thank you. The next individual that wishes to speak, Stephanie Diaz.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Stephanie Diaz, and I represent the Land Trust for Santa Barbara County. And we want to thank the City Council and the Mayor for bringing forth this proclamation celebrating biodiversity. It's something that the Land Trust is very close to our heart, very central to the work that we do. The Land Trust is a community-based organization that has been working for about 40 years, and we've conserved about 60,000 acres of lands within Santa Barbara County. That's North and South County. And our work is very much in line with what you've explained in that proclamation for saving natural habitat, wildlife, coastal ecosystems, and agricultural lands. And we feel that the work we do is part of a very essential community benefits. We've through the watersheds and the rivers and the ocean areas, we have clean air and water, habitat, that's connectivity, outdoor recreation, education, economic vitality, and cultural heritage. All comes from our conserved lands and our city and county lands. In and around Guadalupe, you can see visible examples of the city's relationship in the Santa Maria River, the Guadalupe New Paloma Dunes, and the wetlands and the surrounding agricultural lands. the Land Trust is a member of the biodiversity working group that Eric just mentioned, and it's been wonderful to have input from 50 different nonprofit organizations that are all interested in how we can move forward. The ecosystems are having a lot of pressure put on them by invasive species, by climate change, and to have all these various agencies that are coming together and looking at where we have challenges and where we have opportunities. We feel that the biodiversity goals that are set out actually turn into community benefits. And finally, we just want to say we're so pleased and we'd like to support the City of Guadalupe and our proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Next individual, Candace.
Good evening, Mayor Julian and council members. My name's Candace Menigan, and I'm the Executive Director of Coastal Ranches Conservancy. It's a local nonprofit with a mission to support nature conservation, restoration, and education along the Gaviota Coast. We've joined the Biodiversity Working Group as one of those, over 50 environmental organizations adopting a community vision and policy platform in support of biodiversity conservation on the Central Coast. And as a member of the Biodiversity Working Group, we've jointly understand that biodiversity must be woven into thinking, into planning, and a way of life for equitable communities and dynamic sustainable economies. Coastal Ranches Conservancy recently adopted a 5-year strategic plan with the primary focus really on biodiversity conservation along the 76 miles of the Gaviota Coast. And many of our programs are focused on connecting rivers, connecting lands, and connecting wildlife and communities on the landscape. So we are very heartened that Council Member Hernandez brought this to the full council, and that we have your support to the adoption of this resolution. It really recognizes and also celebrates our local biodiversity. It also marks an alignment amongst our organizations and the city's goals. And, we look forward to working together with you and your staff and your agencies. Even from the public comments earlier this evening with Parks and Rec, we understand that cities have budget shortfalls, and Coastal Ranches has partnered with Vandenberg Space Force Base on grant proposals, talking to Supervisor Hartman in the morning about how to support the county and other open space and conservation work. And so that offer really is to the city where we can be supportive of your biodiversity goals. That offer stands. And so we look forward to the unique and to conserve unique and irreplaceable biodiversity and resources which underpin a healthy and resilient city and communities along our coast. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next individual is Jeannie Sparks. Hi, Jeannie.
Hello, Arizona. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Jeannie Sparks, Co-Executive Director of Santa Barbara County Action Network. And SBCAN is part of the Biodiversity Working Group, which you've heard about tonight. We seek solutions to issues impacting local biodiversity. We want to thank you for recognizing the unique biodiversity in our region and the benefits it provides. We encourage you to integrate native plants, wildlife-friendly designs, and nature-based solutions to climate resilience in your planning and development decisions. SBCAN is also working with partners on long-term solutions to flooding issues and is advocating for the extension of the levee trail from Santa Maria to Guadalupe. I know this is a little off the topic, but I just had to add it in there. We are hosting an online workshop roundtable on Friday at noon to get an update from the county on what's going on with the levee trail. And it'll be an opportunity to ask some questions about it. And then we'll be advocating that people go and speak up to make sure that Lovely Trail happens, because it's been 4 years since it was approved and they're finally just coming out with the draft EIR. So Friday noon online, find out information sbcan.org/action alerts. And you can get all the information to sign up for the roundtable. We'd really like to see you there. And we want to thank you again for passing this resolution and recognizing the role that biodiversity plays in our region.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you.
There's several other letters that were sent in. I just want to acknowledge, we received a letter of support for this item from the Dune Center, from Saul, you know? Anyway, from the Dune Center here in Guadalupe. And another, this land trust too with, from Daniel, that will be part of the minutes. And then Anna Marie Perkinson from the Santa Barbara County Fire Safe Council. That'll be part of the minutes. And then, of course, Eric. Let's see. So is there anybody there out here that I forgot that have come up and wants to speak on this item?
Mayor, can I share some words?
Please.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the organizations that came in regards to this important proclamation. I grew up in Guadalupe. My parents were farm workers, and I did not get to experience the outdoors until I was in my mid-30s. And then I learned there was over 100 endemic species out there that I needed to save. How can we get our community out there? It is so important to get our youth out there exploring the dunes. And I love to lead hikes. And I just want to thank everyone for coming out here. And we welcome any education or resources that you guys can share with us. So thank you.
And tying into that, most of you are from Santa Barbara, and we appreciate your attendance here because we're all part of the same environment. So thank you all. So. What's that? Yeah. Do you want a picture? Good to take away. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Good idea. Item 13. And there's
I know Emma. Oh, it is Emma. Yes, for 13, Emma, we just wanted to clarify.
No, it's 13 or
13?
it's not on the agenda. Who can't be here? Well, it's not, but you can.
So hello, City Council, Mayor, thank you. My name is Emma Vega. I'm the lead organizer for Californians for Pesticide Reform, and there was a community member today that couldn't be here, but wanted to express her comments and concerns for the let go of Arnulfo for Parks and Recs, and I'm here today to say her public comment. So dear Mayor and Council, my name is Graciela Rodriguez, and I'm writing regarding the recent dismissal of Arnulfo Navarro III from Parks and Recs Department. Many members of our community were saddened and disappointed to hear the news of his dismissal. Arnulfo brought energy and vision and genuine care to Guadalupe's youth and families. He had exciting ideas planned for the future of Guadalupe that many residents were looking forward to, especially programs and activities that would have brought our community together in a positive way. In a city like Guadalupe, recreation programs are not just entertainment. They provide safe spaces for our children, opportunities for families, and positive direction for young people. Leaders who truly care about the community engagement are not easy to replace. Arnulfo made people feel heard and included. Many residents saw his dedication firsthand and appreciate the effort he put in improving programs, parks, and opportunities for local youth. I respectfully ask the city to reconsider the decision, or at minimum listen carefully to the voices of the community members who support his work. Guadalupe deserves leaders in parks and recreation who are passionate, creative, and committed to serve the people they serve. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you. For Graciela Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now we'll go to 6B. It's a Pride Month proclamation, and Councilwoman Furness will read that.
Okay. This proclamation is recognizing June 2026 as Pride Month. Whereas the city of Guadalupe is home to people of all backgrounds, including those who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex. And whereas while our city, state, and nation have come a long way in our journey towards dignity, understanding, and mutual respect for all, we still have a long way to go in eradicating the prejudice and discrimination that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people and others face. And whereas hate speech continues to denounce lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people and other members of the community, and whereas the city of Guadalupe has been instrumental in informing the public and promoting these protections, and whereas during the month of June throughout the nation, numerous organizations, governments, and others recognize the rights of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and intersex persons during Pride celebrations. And whereas each year, June 28th marks the anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion, which gave birth to the modern movement to advance the rights of LGBTQIA+ persons. During the month of June, those committed to justice and equality celebrate the notable achievements and outstanding service that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex Americans make to our city, state, and nations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor and on behalf of the city council of the city of Guadalupe, we proclaim June 2026 as Pride Month and encourage all people of the city of Guadalupe to advance the cause of equality for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex persons. Be it further resolved that each of us work toward achieving a safe community that appreciates its diversity in all its forms for generations to come.
Thank you. I don't think, is there? That's really important for us to take a stand on that. So, is there anyone here to receive that? If not, the city will receive it. So, thank you. Ellen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ellen Curry.
All right. All right. Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but as
That's
a
right.
native of Guadalupe and a gay man, and an environmentalist, I just want to thank the city for recognizing Pride Month. Me and my family recognize Pride Month every day, and a lot of residents need these protections. And so I'm just really grateful that everyone is doing everything they can for the environment, because gay people also deserve a right to clean air and clean water and clean food. But particularly this month, just again, thank you for doing everything you can to help out gay, lesbian, and trans folks, especially here in Guadalupe. Thank you.
Thanks for standing up. Sir.
Thank you. I guess I'll keep this.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is item 7, consent calendar. The following items are presented at the city council for approval without discussion as a single agenda item. Is there a city council person that wishes to pull an item for discussion? Good. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar, A through D?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar A through D.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, passes. Thank you. Now we'll go to management reports. City Administrator, item 8.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, and residents. We'll start with the Public Works for the month of May. It's pretty much business as usual for the most part. Some baseball field prep going in still. Last month at least, some light repairs, some irrigation here at City Hall. A lot of weed abatement. We tried cycling in some new stuff and it didn't really work out too well. So we're gonna have to re-tackle that sooner than planned. We had a second water line that had to get repaired over in the Point Sal area. It looks like it's just older water lines starting to fail. As kind of expected, the infrastructure. 64 customer service calls this month. Let's see, the wastewater, there was some repairs in the clarifier, which is kind of like where the water goes before it exits the sewer plant. And then some maintenance on the screw press, which is where the waste goes to get expelled and then can get distributed to fertilizer plants or whatnot. Any questions on Public Works?
Just mention the basement. It's ready to go. In fact, it's lined. Baseball field. It's
Fantastic.
lined.
Yeah, I know they should have started practicing last night. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 4 to 7. They're
Okay,
supposed to be out there
whatever,
practicing.
it's
so,
ready. So it's good to know when they're there so we can prep it. So
yeah.
Practice
cool.
did start yesterday and I'm officially coaching the T-ball. So really
we
excited
go.
to hopefully pump up the kids.
There we go.
Explain a little bit about what they offer. Oh,
We're doing French fry T-ball. And so yesterday was the first day of practice. Parents went out there because we're really excited. They provided us with free gloves, a free water bottle, a free hat. And then they're going to give us coaching guides for a week to week, what that guide will look like. And I think our first game is June 20th. So in 2 weeks, and we'll be meeting weekly with the youth.
That's awesome.
Is there anything that's needed at the field?
We just started, so I think we're okay at the moment, but I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
at the moment, yeah.
checking. The only thing that's not on there, just a side note, is the safe bag. I don't know if the T-ball uses the whole field.
We're just practicing, and so
Okay.
we did just use
Okay.
just everything inside the diamond.
In the dirt.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's awesome.
okay, thank you.
For the administrative report, we had the county managers meeting last week. And turns out that everybody in the county is facing the same problems we are with budget and deficit and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of nice to see that everybody's struggling, not just us. With the theater, they're still moving along on that. A lot of interior demo. That's why you're not really seeing a whole lot of stuff on the outside. There's a lot of stuff with the footings and along both the north and south walls, as well as the wall bordering the snack bar. So they're getting inspected this week, Thursday. As long as that passes, fingers crossed. They'll be pouring the footers on Friday, and then they'll be able to start finishing up all the framing and everything on the inside, so that they can start real construction, not the remediation repairs, so to speak. And then the outside, the south pad, is also coming due for concrete pour here shortly as well. They got the footers poured, but I think they're waiting on the rebar inspections for the whole pad. Las Mujeres is moving along really good. They started grading the bocce ball court, and installing lighting. I think a majority of the lighting is up. They're getting ready to start the basketball court as well. Starting to kind of lay out the irrigation systems, get the final grading on the main grass portion of the park. And And then a lot of the stuff for the dog park is already set, it's just like fencing and, infill, that kind of stuff. 303 is pretty much done. They're doing cleanup. They are waiting on the final gate. They were waiting on a transformer piece, but I think they got it in because I think they were out there energizing the chargers today, or at least working on them, it looked like. Amtrak, construction resumed on that. So that's moving along. And then, yeah, I think that is it for the administrative report. Any questions?
Just, I think I mentioned that we got the notice to proceed with that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the notice to proceed for the California Clean Air Grant. That was one that allotted us 2 12-month positions. So that one was awarded. Paperwork was finalized Thursday of last week. So we're looking at starting to kind of get that stuff going as well.
Okay, good, thank you. Any questions of David? All right, next item 9, Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and our community members. From the police aspect on my report, I have citizens that are bringing in complaints regarding speeding in the residential neighborhoods. And it's kind of interesting. We had the officers go out and check and see what's going on. Some are requesting the speed bumps that we took out, if they could use some of those. I go, that really doesn't come through me, but advise them that we will be looking at their locations. And I know that they're watching tonight because
Any
I
particular
already
area?
got paged.
Or is it all areas?
In particular, it's Point South.
Point South.
Yes. And yeah,
Yeah.
they're watching and they know who
Good,
I'm
yeah.
referring to in particular. Just had lunch with Kevin Walsh from Hancock, the Hancock president. And just wanted to make sure that we stay in communication with him because I was looking at really pressing college information for some of our junior high kids. One thing that the mayor had asked about, if they're still going to be doing the program, the late night college courses, and he definitely assured us of that. And he wants to go to come back more. Matter of fact, he wants to have the mayor and I meet again. He wants to really make sure that relationship is strong. And I guess they have a young lady who's a counselor at the junior high that works for the college. And so I'll be meeting with her to discuss some kind of forms that we'll be trying to put on for some of the junior high kids. I was asking what's that age that we want to make sure that we're pressing college with. So that was good. And he really is high on Guadalupe. Today with the city administrator and our finance director, we went to the Santa Maria Airport and we discussed about the current contract that we have and our issues we have and what's going on at the airport. Speaking from my perspective, there's 3 of us there and the airport people. These are things I think are surmountable, but I've been tasked with my counterpart. We will relook at everything on this contract, put something together. And since I'll probably be the one positioned to redo it and to present something back to council. So I will look at that, put something on paper when we get through that can be visible to council to see how we're going and what direction the council wants to go. As far as city cameras, we're going through and we're checking all our city cameras in our parks and through different city locations. We have a hodgepodge right now of different cameras, but we're checking on those to make sure that our parks cameras are active and we don't have too many problems with that. So, so far, good. The captain is giving me a list of where our cameras at. We already have that, but which ones are pretty much kind of outdated. And we're trying to look at maybe going with one type with concerns of budgets, but I'm looking at other avenues. But I think that's going to be an important part for public safety, to be able to have that throughout the entire city. So we can look at traffic, crime, and where our kids hang out at. With the fire chiefs meeting, we discussed there's an uptick on mutual aid requests between agencies due to fire and due to lack of staffing. So that's something that we're all monitoring and making sure that we're available and supporting each other, so that we can get things done. And you can see where our location is. We're kind of way out by ourselves. So it's important that we always communicate and try to share resources as best as possible. Of course, our first responsibility is our city, but that was just something that was kind of brought up during the meeting. Also, we met with I believe the CEO of the county to discuss. They're looking, the fire chiefs are trying to push, and there's discussion of doing an RFP again for the ambulance service with AMR. And with the current situation, we're not getting any funding. In the past years, I think we got about $20,000 a year. But the way the current one was written, cities weren't getting anything and didn't have any kind of input. So we're trying to push to do another RFP so the cities have input, and hopefully we can get revenue if they're going to come into the city to assist our residents. At the meeting also, I met with the state fire service officials, and they approached me with some revenue generating opportunities that they think that Guadalupe could definitely benefit from. So I have to schedule a meeting with those state officials to see where we're going. On code compliance, it took us a while, but we've contacted our collection agency. They've been pretty stagnant for a while because they stated that they were not getting collection cases. And so we're working directly with them, and in our new web design that we're almost ready to launch for practice, internal practice. There is a section on there that you can pay for code compliance fines and everything else, so that we can either go straight to collections, and they just want the cases and they're willing to kind of go after that. So I think that's something that was falling through the cracks for a while, of a lot of monies that we weren't collecting. And so that relationship is going very well. On the line, as far as emergency preparedness, Josue, our code compliance person who just completed working with Santa Barbara Office of Emergency Preparedness, we had to do a inventory of all our emergency supply cache. And I think the mayor can relate. Most of the stuff we had last time was in that trailer, and that's a very small aspect. But David found a space in one of our old city lots where we used to have a water tank, and we have a container there. So we have 40 different items of emergency supplies. And so we're very up to date in all our supplies, and we're, at least if we had a generator, that put us over the top, but we're doing as best we can. Marion Hospital Board, we discussed them coming out and having a Spanish speaker forum to discuss with our residents about medical assistance for Guadalupe. With that, I have a fire captain and one of the firefighters, one of the police officers. They've been directed to reach out to Escalante Meadows and also to Riverview. They've already contacted both of those entities to see where we could work with them to present some of these forms. So that is in the works right now. Also, then on Sun Care Advisory Board is they have several service dogs that need placement. So I'm going to try to work with some of our veterans here that might need some of those services. And those dogs are free. The donations help kind of support that program. So I let them know, please, even though they're in SLO County, because I'm here and I'm on their board, they're willing to really kind of work with me because I'm going to work with some of their prisoners who are being released and how to get back into society. So it's a one-off kind of working together. Our EMS, as far as medical services, I'm working right now to try to find a new medical director that can assist us on the fire department. But most people understand for us to be able to utilize our fire department in a medical sense, we have to be under the certification of a medical doctor, and we lost ours. And so I'm trying to find another one that will do that so we can purchase medications and so forth under that license. So that's a work in progress. I meet monthly with the Santa Barbara County Animal Services. We've discussed the increased presence in Guadalupe. So when they come into town, they stop at the police department and they ask us for any updates. It was kind of interesting. Just a side note is, we have our resident raccoons or possums here, about big as dogs. And so we asked for cages, and I didn't know that you cannot trap them because those protected animals that you cannot trap. And we go, well, how else do you move them? They go, well, they're now Guadalupe residents. So it's I don't know how we work that out,
I
but
can lend you mine.
it's hopefully if anyone's out there listening, I do need feedback, and they want feedback too, is what's that level of service? So I can tell the director, like what's really occurring and make sure that what we're paying for, that we're definitely getting those things. Had with the Santa Barbara Fire Chiefs Association, it was interesting. We haven't even gotten to our fireworks enforcement aspect, and that's something that we'll talk about later because of a lot of overtime that's really kind of going with that. But Santa Maria Fire Chief explained to us that they had a child playing with fireworks, and he literally had his whole hand blown off. Some people really don't understand how dangerous these fireworks are. And we just kind of asked, was it a couple fingers here? And no, the entire hand of this young person was blown off because of fireworks. So we really want to make sure that we get that point across. And just again, on special projects, we're setting up the emergency preparedness training for the Boys and Girls Club. And I met with Cynthia. I don't know the name of the program with the seniors can get jobs. I think, Mary, you're familiar with that?
Yeah, it's that senior eligibility to work 25 hours a week. So
Okay.
I forgot the name of it, but it's.
But the whole thing is, I guess you have to have a program, a plan
Right.
for that. So we have one that I've had on the desk since 2022. I brought it here before, but we just wasn't the right timing. But I've spoken to some seniors. They would love to do it. It's a senior patrol kind of program, and mostly it's built around to go and check on other seniors that are stuck inside the homes to make sure that they're getting the medications and that they're getting fed and so forth like that. We talked about the Health and Safety Forum at Riverview, and we're developing a yearly calendar so that way we can really look at what our overtime is going to be or not going to be. And we're currently holding just meetings with all the public safety employees. There's a lot going on in the city, and we want to make sure that we dispel rumors and so forth. So, but it's kind of interesting because we've had a few other heads pop in that are not public works people, or excuse me, public safety people. But it's important that we keep communication lines open so people are not worried about certain things. So with that, that's my report, unless there's any questions from council.
Any questions, Chief?
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, Chief. Back to your comment about not having a medical director.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying? How does that impact our fire staff from doing or not doing certain things because we don't have a director?
It can. The first thing it's really going to affect is our ordering of medical supplies, because we do that under that doctor's license to be able to get those supplies. So, that's something I got to put a lot of time into to kind of run that down. The last one we had, I think, CHC,
Mhm.
yes. And the one there does not currently want to participate, so I'm going to Marion and see what I can leverage there.
So it's not a matter of what they can, say there's a resident that requires medical care and certain medication. It doesn't impact that. With the fact that we don't have a medical director. That's really what I'm
Yes,
asking.
yes,
Yeah,
it can.
it can.
Yes, it can. And so, yes, like I said, we work under their license
Mhm.
technically. We do not give invasive medication as far as intravenous or anything like that. That's what the paramedics do. But some of the medications and stuff that we buy, like what's the one for diabetes, insulin and so forth. We have to go and purchase that. So we do that under that doctor's license.
Okay, any further questions, Chief?
I do have some questions. I guess just going off of that, then you'll be working with David in regards to our budget for that position.
For that position?
Yeah, or for the whatever we need to do.
No, that the senior one is funded through that organization.
What, oh, for
Yeah.
the
What are you talking
the
medical?
doctor, yeah.
Oh, no, that's not a position here. That's just a regular doctor
Oh,
where
perfect.
he,
Yeah, they voluntarily sign.
Yes.
So you just have to go and scout it.
The individual responsible for the meds and stuff.
yes,
And how do other local cities perform that?
same.
Same,
Yes,
okay. Is it maybe we can ask the other cities what, inquire what doctors are using and maybe
Oh, yeah, no,
to
that's,
expedite that process.
that's part of it, but you can understand too, the doctors, because that's a liability. They're
Yeah.
putting their name to that. So it's something we want to make sure we secure for ourselves. But
Okay.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to go in regards to code compliance. I was on my bike around Creation and it looks like there's like fallen a tree or something. So there was a cyclist.
Taylor Farms?
Yeah.
Oh,
Taylor
okay. I'm
Farms.
sorry. I was lost.
Sorry.
Creation.
And it's a corner where kids are crossing, but there's something fallen on the street. And so when I was cycling, another cyclist passed by, but they kind of had to fall off. So we kind of crashed at each other. But I just want to make sure that our streets are compliant to making sure that people on bikes, wheelchairs can access these safe spaces.
Yes, I think David will definitely hop onto that since that's under Public Works.
Yeah, especially if there's something that you see like blocking the roadway or anything like that, even if it's not construction related, let me know.
Would it be fall
sooner than
on
later.
staff or would it fall on that business because it's their property?
Both.
So I wouldn't even get to the technicality of it.
Okay.
If it was a public hindrance, we would just remove it.
Okay, perfect.
And if you go on the website, the current city website, there's a link on there that says, at least in the police department, I think on the main page about reported concern. So we're making it easier. You can put that into the system of whatever code compliance issue that you have, and it will automatically go to the department that it's supposed to go to. And then I also get a copy. So I just acted on one today on a anonymous on a car that was had been expired registration. So that's the way, but we just need to be able to get that more out information to the public. But that's a faster, easier way to be able to just go online, put it in there, and it automatically goes. And then that person gets feedback of what happened to their complaint.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Perfect. And I know that the cemetery now also is, I think, leaving out their trash cans for maybe 2 days in advance. And so that's also impacting pedestrians because we have school age children walking to and from school. So if they're putting it on Monday, I've seen individuals with accessibility issues not being able to clearly walk on that pathway. So they have to get on the street. So if we can just connect with the cemetery to make sure that our sidewalks are safe for all individuals walking, I would greatly appreciate that. Chief, I see that you also connected with Animal Services. Tomorrow, they shared that there is a free microchip for walk-in here in Guadalupe from 11 to 1:30 at the fire department. And I know with fireworks around the corner, the more that we can get pets to get those microchips, the better.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Go to regular business, item 10, introduction of ordinance 2026-527, adopting a 2026 California Fire Code and amend the Guadalupe Municipal Code to update the fire and safety regulations Chief Cash.
That's okay, Phil, if you want it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. On this ordinance, this is the second time that we bring it back, and we made the corrections. The first mistake that I made was on the attachments, and that would have made it so much easier. If you look at the very bottom of page 1 on attachments, number 2, 2025 Fire Code Amendment Summary of Changes. We did not have that piece of document there, and that would have helped to explain, because I was just as confused with the question that we had from the dais. So again, this is something that is brought every year. The state of California changes, but I think the way to really kind of understand that and why that change is these are state codes. And if there's going to be any kind of change, we could put it under the city ordinance. And so that's why you might see the numbers change. It can be the same thing, but we want to adopt it to either make it more stringent or whatever in that. And I'm sorry if I kind of skipping over that. Maybe everyone kind of knew what we were talking about.
It's written here.
Okay, and the point of contention was on 912.51. It talked about signage, and then you see on the 912.5.1 where it seemed to contradict. And what that really was we just changed the numbers to fit the city. I hope that makes sense. No? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can.
In reading, I'm on the 912.5, what you're talking about now. Reading what you have here, it still is confusing to me because 912.5, there's a paragraph completely deleted. And then if you go down below, it says 912.5.5. It still references 912.5, but that was deleted. That's
I can answer that question.
Okay.
Councilmember. The way that this looks, you have to look at the state fire code side by side with these amendments. Because I checked this out myself. It had the, what's the comment there that the sign section, let me see that. The language changes, the amendment was no longer required because the changes made to the state code were what was acceptable to the city. So that section, I mean, we should have them laid out next to each other so it can make more sense. And I can personally show you, I'll light it up on my computer and I can personally show you to satisfy you, but the section that's missing isn't really missing anymore, to put it as simply as possible. It looks like it is because let me see that again. And I'm sorry, not more organized. I wasn't prepared necessarily to make this. The 9.12.5 is still in the fire code. Our 912.5 that's deleted out was our amendment that overrode the state fire code section. So now that as it says there, that there's no need for this particular amendment, the reference to 912.5 is still valid. It's in the state fire code. It's still there. It's not here. I know what you're saying, and I had the same problem.
okay.
But if you look at the state fire code, which we should have had a PowerPoint presentation to show how it looks. These, like, if you look here, there's a lot of sections that are skipped. Like it has 912 fire department connections, and there's nothing until 912.5.5. Well, there's sections before that
No,
that are incorporated by reference.
okay.
And so previously, the last go around, city had changed the state fire code 912.5. And the reference here is described in, the next section 912.5.4, where it says they shall have installed signs as described in section 912.5. And then you would look up to our section. Well, that's what it provides now in the state fire code, I guess, or they're satisfied. So there's no need for the special amendment.
So all of these items written in this document are amendments to the state fire code.
Correct. They didn't put the whole fire code in and then show our changes.
These are our amendments.
These are our amendments.
So
city's
the,
amendments,
when
yeah.
it's referencing 912.5, it's no longer referencing our amendment, it's referencing the fire code.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's why there's a discrepancy in the numbers, because these are just amendments
Yes.
to the state fire code. That makes sense to me. Does that make sense? No?
All right. Well,
I'm not going to belabor the point. Thank you.
well, I looked into it personally because I was confused, and then I saw why it was okay, and I can show you after the meeting. I'll do it right now. Okay, the wishes of the council is to adopt ordinance, not to adopt, but to read first reading, corrected reading, ordinance number 2026-527. You don't need a motion on that? I'm sorry. Going, yes. Is there a motion to
For first reading,
first reading? Yeah.
I'll make a
We
motion
need a motion.
for first reading of ordinance number 2026-527.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. I will go to item 11, introduction of ordinance 2026-527, adding chapter 3.13 to title 3 of Guadalupe Municipal Code, establishing the cannabis business tax. Bill. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, staff, members of the public. The staff report provides a lot of background information. As you know, it's my practice to provide the information in the staff report that's available for review, but I don't want to go over all that background. The short story is the city had a certain way of picking cannabis businesses. That procedure is still on the books, the way you would get new applicants. The city council currently has closed the application period for any retail businesses and would have to reopen it before there could be any more businesses per those policies. But as you know, the current way of determining how much a business pays as a fee, essentially on its gross proceeds, a public benefit fee, is the subject of negotiations. The retail business, Route 1, Mr. Austin Canella was here to ask that be changed. The community benefit fee structure, the negotiated rate that they pay, be changed to a tax. He had no problem with the 6% current rate. But he said that there were certain reasons why, and I don't need to get into that, but certain business reasons why a tax is more favorable to his competition in the market. So he publicly supported it, and the council directed staff to come back with an ordinance. We worked with our consultant HDL, who helped us create the current setup, and this is what we came up with. The provisions of the ordinance are in the discussion section, kind of summarized by bullet points. I think the only thing I want to mention and highlight is that, as you will notice, although there was public support expressed for a 6% retail tax, the ordinance would allow the council to determine the tax up to 8%. This is kind of a practice in the state to allow some flexibility for conditions. The ordinance would also allow the council to lower the rate. As you'll recall, in response to Mr. Canella's request, the 6% public benefit fee was reduced to 4% pending voter approval of this ordinance, if it gets to the voters and is approved by the voters. Similarly, with non-retail businesses, it's just essentially all other wholesale businesses. Currently, the only such one is the Central Coast Cultivation Processing Plant or facility that pays 2%. The ordinance would allow discretion to tax up to 4%. The council does not have to impose that, and it would wait till the ordinance is passed before it would make that decision by resolution or by ordinance. I'd prefer that you do it by resolution. It's easier. And I think That's it. I'm sure you'll have some questions, or Pat might have some questions. I'm happy to answer them. Any questions to Phil?
I have a question.
Please.
I haven't been here for a couple meetings, but refresh my memory. Were we going to put this on the ballot or do we not have to do that?
Oh, thank you. I forgot to mention that.
Okay. I was like, so it seems like we're just passing an ordinance.
No. We're introducing an ordinance
Okay.
that you will adopt at your next meeting.
Correct. Yes.
It'll
I'm
be,
sorry.
per our practice, it'll be on the consent calendar.
Yes.
Yes, this one and the next one.
Correct. But
No,
not
both.
on a ballot.
No, because you're going to be faced with a slew of election resolutions at the next meeting
Understood.
that will place these measures on the ballot after you've adopted the ordinance. It's just purely technical. The best practice is for the council to adopt these ordinances, but the ordinances provide they can't take effect. Instead of the normal 15 or 30-day period after the council adopts an ordinance on the second reading, it's not effective in 30 days because this one's subject to the vote of the people. So the ordinance expressly says it won't take effect until it's adopted by the vote of the people and won't go into effect until it's accepted. The results are accepted in the first meeting in December.
Got it.
Well, it
Thank
doesn't
you.
say that precisely, but that's what it means.
Okay. I just want to clarify because.
And you're right. I should have mentioned that. I'm not going to be here on the 23rd. Wendy Stockton will be here in
Okay.
my place, but she'll be fully briefed on this and understand what's going on. But this is, we should have done this before, like a couple months ago. With the cannabis one, it was difficult to time that right because of the circumstances, but it's still in time. We just need to have it introduced at this meeting and then adopted at the next meeting, presumably on the consent calendar. And then you can take action whether to put it on the ballot or not. That's a
Got it.
separate action.
Okay. Thank you so much for the
Sure.
clarification.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 2026-528, adding chapter 3.34 to Title 3 of Guadalupe Municipal Code establishing a cannabis business tax?
I'll make a
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you can.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2026-528.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. And I'm going to assume that you also meant that this would be continued to the next meeting
Yes.
for the second. It was implied. All right, we'll go to item 12, introduction of ordinance number 2026-529, increasing rated cities transit occupancy tax. Bill, you again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, and the members of the public. This was basically essentially a request from the city administrator who said, shouldn't we consider a TOT increase? TOT is short for transient occupancy tax, because ours is ridiculously low. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, in 2022, the council approved putting this very similar measure on the ballot, and it was narrowly defeated by a few votes. And I think that's just because there was some wording in the measure that was unclear to people. I think they might have thought that month-to-month leases would have been subject to this because of the way it wasn't clearly written. I don't think it was because we were trying to increase a tax that basically only visitors to the city would pay. When I say visitors, I mean people that would stay here less than 30 days or 30 days or less in a temporary commercial lodging, like a hotel or motel, or now they have the short-term rentals and mostly in Pasadena, but a few dotted other places, or maybe they'll have some of those ADUs if they're not used for people, they might be used for. Oh no, I don't think our ordinance allows that, so never mind. But the short-term rentals pay TOT. Right. I didn't get the number. There's a blank. I apologize for that. You'll look on the footnote on page 5 of the report. It's highlighted in yellow and blank. It was supposed to be filled. I had asked Mr. Sanchez about it last. Oh, I'm sorry. I asked the finance director about it and didn't get back to him to get that number, and then didn't get put in the staff report. I did notice on the budget budget paperwork from the last meeting, the income received as noted in that section on the line item was about 5,000. And I said it could be as much as 20,000. I think it could be. I think it's underreported. I don't think everyone's paying. So I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't have the number in there, but I wanted to tell you what the budget said. And I'm not sure if we have any other numbers.
The number to date is 4,300.
Okay, that was the number. So anyway, that's that. I do think if I based this, I did the same calculation in 2022. I went online, looked at all the Airbnbs that were available, looked at the daily rates for all of them, averaged them out, and then assumed 25% occupancy. And I came up with essentially the same number both times. So like I say, I think unless there's less occupancy than 25%, which is possible, I don't know. But I think that number is just not, I don't think we're collecting everything we should, and we could have some enforcement activity on that. And I think if there were more of them, we would. But right now, there's just not enough to really justify from an administrative point of view. Okay, anyway, back to the ordinance. The theory on this, and I agreed with the city administrator, was to, if we're going to do this, if we're going to bring our TOT rate into compliance with into conformity with what other cities in the Central Coast are doing, we should do it now before we entice any motels, hotels, lodging facilities, whatever, before they get here. And then we say, oh, we're going to vote and increase the TOT tax, which might undermine their calculations about the number of people that would stay. It's just better to do it now, get it done. And then we don't have to worry about it because it'll be in place if any businesses come in and locate. I know that there's the former city administrator and I had spoke many times about the possibility of luring some kind of a smaller hotel here, perhaps on the Al's Union site, perhaps elsewhere in the city on another piece of property. But it was sort of tied with the Royal Theater and other economic development activities. But still, that's something that's still possible. That would certainly increase this number significantly. I think Guadalupe is really posed. If they could have some lodging right in town, I think it would be full a lot of the time. I'm not an economic development professional, but that is definitely my strong sense. But the other thing, this is the other side of the ordinance. If it was just raising the rate, I think it would be pretty uncomplicated. But when I looked at the ordinance, the wording of it's really old. It's really old, and it was not worded as it should have been. It should have more followed the state statute. And use the phrase other lodgings, because that includes just about everything, including RV parks and campgrounds, which we don't have any. So this isn't going to tax anybody that's coming here. They're not, there's no place for them to stay or camp that would pay this. But it wasn't clear to me as a lawyer, as a city attorney, that we could extend the current language of the ordinance to include those types of things. So while we're at it, and I did this in 2022, with the wording, I wanted to make it clear that we're extending the tax to other lodgings. We're changing the definition of the ordinance itself so that it would include what the state law allows, recreational vehicles and campgrounds. Because I think that's a possibility that we're going to get. We wouldn't want those to be exempt from the TOT, in my opinion. It doesn't make sense. So there we are. That's the recommendation to adopt this or introduce this ordinance tonight, and then adopt it at the next meeting, and then place it on the ballot for the voters for their approval. And we don't need a rate right now in terms of. I'm sorry. We don't need a rate right now. Well, the rate is 6%. Right. We don't need to establish a rate. Well, yeah, we're establishing it at 12%. That's the recommendation. Okay, that's 12%. Okay. Yeah, and I showed in the staff report shows like a comparison to all the local cities. And at 12%, it would still be a little bit lower than all the other cities. Okay. Not necessarily the TOT, but if you add in their what they call their tourist improvement district fees or other types of fees, it would still be right at the lowest and competitive in that regard. I mean, you can pick a different number. No, that's fine. Go to 12% to me. Okay, that's what I figured. I was 10 last in 2022. We suggested 10%, but it seems like that was the numbers have increased in other cities since then. So why not bump it up to 12?
Mira, did you raise your hand?
You have, come on up. Yeah, I saw her.
For the cannabis one, it
Oh.
says subject to approval of the voters. This doesn't have that verbiage in there, but is it also
Yes,
subject to the
it's
voters?
also subject to the
And then
voters.
will there be more clarification on the ballot so that people understand that it's not for month to month?
Well, I'm commenting, if you read the ordinance, there's an exception for month to month. I added that.
Okay.
And the language of the ballot, I really worked on, it hasn't been finalized, but I really worked on trying to clarify that it wouldn't apply. I don't, we only have 75 words, so you can't add a sentence like, and this would not apply to people on a month-to-month lease, because that would take up too much with all the other stuff that's got to be talked. So I tried to say it in other ways.
Just wanted those two.
Absolutely
you.
does not apply to anyone on a month-to-month lease.
Is there a
Any-
motion?
Yeah, and I was going to say, even if they sign a month-to-month lease and then leave after 1 month, it wouldn't apply because the lease is, you have to give notice, so it would continue past 31 days, so. Okay, is there a motion to introduce the ordinance as noted?
I'll make a motion to introduce this ordinance
And to continue it to the,
Right.
so, okay, thank you.
and continue it to the next.
Your second,
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. All ayes. Thank you. Bill. Okay, we'll go to item 13, City of Guadalupe Preliminary Draft Budget Fiscal Year 26-27 Workshop. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, members of the public. I think the last time we met, you wanted to have a budget workshop. So this is really at the pleasure of the council. We can go as deep or as shallow as you want. Everybody's already seen the numbers. Maybe you had time to think about.
Quick question,
questions?
is there a presentation that you would prefer to have up or none of these?
No, it's that's the one. That's the
This
one
is
I
the one.
presented last council meeting.
Okay.
So it's the
So-
same one.
It goes both ways. So if you guys want to go line by line or have any questions on a specific line item, we can pull up the preliminary that was up last time and we can kind of look that over. Or we could just hit the presentation and just give the actual information as far as what the public's probably more concerned with. So
I'll go right to the, to the presentation. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. And if we had questions, we can go back then.
yeah, 100%.
Is that okay, Council?
Yeah, that one. And then I'll do this and then any hard number questions will go to Eli.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, please. So our current financial reality is this right here. We're approaching a $3 million deficit. We have multiple things involved. The big one that's going to be most visible is probably going to be overtime whenever you start looking at the breakout on the preliminary draft. But it's only a contributor, right? It's not the primary cause for any of this. This is all, it's all structural imbalances that have been going on for multiple years. And this is kind of the ways that we've kind of came up with trying to fix this the quickest way possible with to try to help the city not go upside down. If you can go next slide. So here, this is just like immediate actions that we can start taking. Kind of obvious, kind of not obvious, is going to be freezing hires for non-critical positions, starting to delay any capital expenditures. So it's going to be things like projects or projects that haven't started, reducing non-essential consulting services. So, maybe the cleaning folks or, Culligan, things like that. Things that are more niceties versus requirements. Tightening expenditure approvals. So, purchase order requirements, travel approval, anything that might kind of be non-traditional expenditures. And these are cost cuttings that need to take place so that we can guard our cash, right? Because it's our cash flow that is the issue. It's not, necessarily how much money we have in the bank. It's how much money do we have in the bank on any given day, right? In doing some of this, we'll start to see we'll start to see some kind of impact financially. We're estimating $500,000 somewhere in there. That could be close. It could not be close. Again, these are just kind of estimations. Next slide, please. Okay, this one here is kind of what we looked at. Because public safety is 63% of the budget, we had to look at ways to kind of adjust that. It's 71% of all salaries throughout the city. So we were looking at doing some kind of staff studies, something along those lines, that post offers. They're doing waiting list only. So that was kind of a non-go right out the gate. Some things that can happen are possible schedule reviews, exploring shared services, looking into contracts and agreements that we may have that affect our cash flow. Again, that's the hard hit. It's the cash flow. So looking at doing any kind of restructuring, you're looking at a possible $1 million savings, depending on how deep you go, or how light you keep it. Next slide. So these are some revenue recovery opportunities that we're exploring immediately. We just heard Philip talk about the TOT, the cannabis tax. The good thing about the cannabis tax, as opposed to the community benefit that we currently have, is it's written to produce revenue monthly instead of quarterly. So although that may equate to the same amount of money, it's cash flow. So we're getting our cash flow going quicker. We're going to start the utility rate study next fiscal year in July. It's been 2.5, 3 years since we've done a rate study. So we got to get back on track on that. The master fee schedule, getting more in line with current market values for these services. Whether it's permitting, whether it's development, all that plays a factor. And then of course, grant reimbursement, right? We have to capture everything that we're entitled to. So everything that we're doing for this city is very grant oriented, and being able to capture every cost that we can that we apply for that's included in that grant. We need to make sure that we're submitting it for reimbursement. Otherwise, we're leaving money on the table. And then again, these are just estimated numbers at the bottom, 850 to 3 million, depending on how crazy it goes. The 3 million, that's going to be more grant related. Those are going to have higher returns. We're probably not going to get $3 million on a rate study. So just so you guys kind of see where that kind of funds are coming from. Next slide, please. Okay. So before I get started on this, I just want to correct myself. We've all met, and the idea was, come December, we have to halt as many projects as we can. The big one being the Royal Theater. Mira called me today and put a little bird in my ear about maybe we can't halt the Royal Theater, and she was absolutely correct. The Royal Theater has a completion date, not a fund spend date. I was very incorrect on that. So that's the one project we can't stop. And everything else will be done in plenty of time to get cost recovery. So the hardest issue is going to be what Eli is going to talk about on the top. And it'll kind of break down things a little bit better.
Yeah, so just looking at that top row, I think you can all see David has done a nice job of reducing the CIP budget as low as possible in terms of the projects that really must go down, must continue, and the projects that we can probably wait on. So 15.9 million is what we're budgeting for cash out the door to continue the projects that you see on the screen right now. The difficulty or the inflection point for the city is that we only have about $11.2 million in cash. So that leaves, $4.65 million that is unaccounted for. And so which was, David was alluding to controlling, stopping and going the projects, making sure that the work is paced so that we can keep a close eye on cash. On top of that, I think what really you have to think about as a city is that although the budget and the cash are two different things, they're interrelated. So you have a finite amount of money in the bank that you can spend for these projects. That money is also used for paying salaries, paying city obligations, et cetera. Those city salaries and obligations are reflected in the budget. The budget is, as David already mentioned, $3 million deficit. That means you're bringing in $6 million in revenues and you're spending $3 million more that you're not bringing in. So you would add on top of that 4.6, another 3 million for your deficit. And that's what the cash picture looks like, which we really have to be on top of so that we don't get in a tight spot. So hopefully that works and that helps in terms of context. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Okay. Good.
If you look at the bottom of this slide, you're looking at 3 different concrete projects. And what is kind of nice about those is they're going to be like a super quick turnaround. So our invoicing and reimbursements will be quick. You're looking at probably like 3 weeks, 4 weeks for each one of those projects, and then they're done. So that's why those ones are, if you were to look at like the numbers, as far as the project cost, they look like something like, oh, just like take these off, like they're minimal in comparison to all the rest. But because they're so quick, it's, that $4.6 million, you're not even hitting the 0.6 part, so I mean, they're small. Mm-hmm. So that's why those ones are on there. Just to give a little bit of clarification on those. Next slide, please. So this one here kind of shows like the overall picture of like what Guadalupe is looking at, right? We have almost zero retail within the county or within the city. So we're averaging 18, 20, $25 million a year on retail leakage, so that's people going to Santa Maria or Nipomo or, all the other close areas that are providing the services, grocery stores, just the various opportunities, the eateries, things like that. And then what we're looking for or what we need is commercial corridor activation, right? So, we have the 15 acres in front of Pasadero. We have the lot on Obispo and 166, getting those places filled with businesses, right? We're looking at the TOT tax going on the ballot for this year, and just running some quick numbers. If you have a 100-room hotel occupied 50% of the time at $100 a night, your annual revenue is going to probably balance our budget. That's how much of an impact something small like that can actually do for the city. Getting an Aldi's or a Smart and Final, Vallarta, some kind of grocery in the city, and we can do things like expedited permitting, sharing tax costs on initial bills or first year kind of stuff. But if the city isn't welcoming, I guess, maybe we're not going to get that. We have a lot of vacant buildings down our downtown, that we're trying to work on getting some kind of ordinance to kind of combat that, and get it kind of to where people want to develop economically here. The Royal Theater at the least is going to show that you can come and spend a lot of money to develop downtown in Guadalupe and, have a beautiful facility, and it's going to draw people at some point in time. Right. But what we need to look to is long-term stabilization. you know, focus on sustainable growth. That's why we need things like grocery stores, things that are more inviting and keep the money that our residents are spending here, and then bring things like hotels or motels or other lodging resources to get people to come here and see what we are doing to the city, see the money that's being invested here. Next slide, please.
Real
Yes,
quick
ma'am.
on that note, in the short term, is there any way we could like partner with the GBA or something like that to have like a shop local initiative that we could just, I mean, really it would cost nothing to just, blast some, Facebook, posts or it in conjunction with opening up the communication between the council and the city, but, maybe stress the importance of, shopping at the existing grocery stores that we have and eating at the restaurants that we do have. And small, but small steps, can help. So just one thought.
Yeah.
The GBA did recently, I think the past month and two, have encouraging residents to stop at local restaurants, and then they had like a special deal. But I think we need to go further than that. We need to further our relationship with the GBA, inviting them to come speak, quarterly at least, to foster that relationship.
Let us go through this and then you can mention something. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. Yes. So again, this is just the kind of timeline, recovery timeline. We got to stabilize, we got to stop the bleeding, we got to stop, hemorrhaging at this point, and get our spending under control, and then implement corrective actions. A lot of this is, the plan is 3 years, but we can't necessarily wait for 3 years to start implementing some of these things. Some of these things, a lot of it's going to be concurrent. And then once we get to a point where we can stabilize and, start to build our revenues again, or not our reserves, then, we'll be able to get to that structural balance that we need, so that we can continue to provide all the services that the city needs and wants at that point. Next slide, please. So here you're looking at a little bit of operational reorganization, just simple things, a little bit of department restructuring, cross-training employees, maybe reducing duplicated services, modernizing workflows, streamlining processes. Some things can be automated. Chief's already spoke about the complaint thing. The code compliance action that you can take from the website, things like that kind of it's kind of like a process improvement phase right now. So getting through that, and then just potential savings that can be or could be related to that. Next slide, please. And here's just an example of possible cost savings. So what this is right here is, you're looking at, if we were to hire a fire captain and have like a fire engineer or firefighter, combined, the annual salary would be about $411,000 a year. If you were to do the same thing with working a current employee at a class for 12 to 24 months and then backfilling behind them, you're looking at a $370,000 cost. So you're looking at $40,000 to $50,000 in savings. But then again, something like this has to actually be possible. So it may not be feasible. So this may not even be an option, but just so you guys can see it, that we're exploring various different options. That's kind of the main intent of this. And then there is the other option. If you were to choose like either one of these, but you eliminated a strike team. So that's when like the fire department, goes and fights wildfires in San Diego or something like that. Try to keep them more regional mutual aid effects versus long distance. That way we're not as tied into the overtime, right? Because then we're gonna backfill, and then, you know, we're gonna have to wait for reimbursements from CAL FIRE or, you know, whatever agency we're assisting. Whereas if we keep something local, mutual aid, we're still meeting our requirements. You know, we're still helping out the local people, and trying to, I don't want to say save face, so to speak. I don't, that might be like the bad way to put it, but we're helping out our local partners, right? Any questions on this one?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
When we're looking at these cost saving measures and we're talking about possibly, you know, removing a position, will it come back to council or is that a discretion of a city admin?
Like for this situation right here?
Yeah, or any scenario, I guess.
No, they don't have to come back to council.
So that discretion, okay. Chief?
Yeah, if I can just make a point of this and I appreciate the work that was done. This wasn't presented to me until Friday. So I had no input. And I think that's something that internally that we need to really sit down and kind of talk about, because I look at this as I don't know other than numbers. There's one thing to have the administration aspect of it, another thing to have the operational aspect of it. And if you're going, for me, if you're going to present something, I can understand the administrative aspect of it. But if you don't maybe check in with your professionals who do that to see what that impact really is, I think you're not doing the whole due diligence. And so that's my, this is something I think that as a group, we need to sit down internally before it really comes here to see, because if we're going to give you a suggestion, I would think it should work. It's not what we think. And that's why you hire these different positions to be the experts on certain things, to be able to have that input. So whatever's presented to you, you have all your expertise into that proposal so that you can make good decisions.
Seems to me this is looking at the financial side of things and then see how it folds after that, but we need to get down to a certain amount that we can live with, so. Go ahead. Thank you, Chief.
So this is what a possible restructuring would look like as far as monetary savings annually. Annually, correct. So this is roughly 7 positions that we would be forced to lay off, and the costs associated with those positions.
We're talking this 26, 27.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that we've heard a lot of comments in regards to, you know, the rec service manager. I understand it's important to stabilize, but also just, you know, just thinking in the future and thinking, you know, what are we going to do to ensure that our community has opportunity to essential service. Some people might think, oh, recreation isn't essential, but unfortunately, we just recently heard of the children, the youth that lost their lives, you know, to a tragic car accident. And I think kids need something to do. And so that's just at the back of my mind when I see these. And it's difficult. This conversation is very difficult because we're looking at the numbers and there's just no way to backfill that those amount of numbers. But just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and any of this decision is based on numbers. And what the numbers tell us are if we don't take drastic action within the next 12 months, the city is bankrupt. That means it doesn't matter if the Royal Theater is done. It'll belong to the county. And unfortunately, that's just the hard truth. I would love to sit here and say, hey, you know, we got a donor that just gave the city $5 million and we're good to go. We just don't have that option, right? We've entertained the idea of getting city properties appraised. but you're looking at 2 available lots. We can't sell Al's Union. So unless we have somebody that wants to come and throw a long-term lease on that thing, throwing a lot of money, that's kind of out the window. 2 vacant lots, ground up. In this current economy, you're looking at maybe 300,000, 400,000 on the high side. You're throwing peanuts at an elephant at this point, So I mean, there's just so much getting eaten by this budget. And it's very unfortunate because this is gonna, we could essentially terminate half the city employees and it still occur more debt next year. So we've tried to move everybody off the general fund, as many people as we can, legally. That's why we were doing things like combining maintenance, creating an inline, chain there so that we can move them legally into the enterprise funds. But at this point, we're kind of to the point where we have to only be able to, unfortunately, I don't want to say only essential services, but I mean, we're getting close to that point. And if things like this, again, don't work, then our services are just going to get more and more essential. Unfortunately, this will cause the graded service in some aspect, in some departments, somewhere, somehow. It's just not going to be unavoidable. There's maybe, I don't know, paying more attention 5 years ago, 6 years ago, because I mean, this didn't happen overnight, right? This is before probably all of our time, at least working in this capacity. So it's just a snowball effect, and this is where we are now.
Last question. What benchmarks can, as a council member, I use, moving forward to ensure that the conditions are improving, whether that's at 6 months, a year, 2 years? What tools and resources can I use to make sure that we're improving and not going back?
I guess at this point, it would be the deficit's not growing. I mean, that would be the easy benchmark, probably.
Yeah, 100%. You're spot on. I think that the deficit and reducing that and eliminating that should be priority number one. Because again, what that tells you when you have a deficit is you're spending more than you're bringing in. So inevitably, it doesn't matter how big the deficit is. If there's a deficit at some point in time, we will have this conversation again. And so, because it'll just keep on going and going and going. So I think we need to just pay close attention to that deficit number. Are we in a deficit? And on a go forward basis, I think, use the easy litmus test, the easy litmus test. I mentioned this to somebody earlier, the easy litmus test. How much revenues do you have? What are your largest expenditures? Easy math, subtract. For now, $6 million in revenues. The safety budget is 5.6. That leaves you $400,000 to run the city. Anything you're spending above and beyond that, you're in a deficit. So it's easy math, but it's a hard decision, and there's a lot of hard choices. And I think, these are not easy equations. I think, David alluded to this earlier. We were thinking outside the box. Unfortunately, we weren't in place, a year ago. Maybe we would have a different conversation because we would have had other options. But I think, again, just keeping an eye on the deficit, from your perspective, maybe doing what you can to encourage revenue growth and, cost controls all the way around.
Okay, awesome. Last question. I did just come with, I know transparency has come up a lot. As residents, we see residents concerned. What can they do? Can they reach out to you? Can they walk into the city doors, ask questions? What does that look like for residents that are confused, concerned? Some of them didn't receive this. What is this? This budget workshop so that today
Mm.
represented, what can they do if they have questions?
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely come in. They can ask all the questions they want. Anything pertaining to this slide, they're not gonna get an answer. But anything else, 100%, door's always open. Come on in.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Just like to highlight several things, and it's just way above what we're talking about now is in the last 3 or 4 sessions, the goal setting sessions for the council, the number one goal was the balanced budget. And in addition to 15-20% reserve. And even a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we were told that there was a reserve of 1 point something million that really wasn't there.
Mhm.
And then when you plan a budget, like last year's budget, to say, okay, we have this much money, when you don't, then we're facing what we've got now. And the second, I just want to also point out, the second item in our goal setting was the business community. Make sure that the businesses are running well. And the third was recreation. I hear that we don't care about recreation. I think that's not true. We, as a council, said that was a priority for us, recreation. And then when you have 3,800 kids under the age of 18, you need recreation. And I think we know that. But I think that what we're talking about now is the nuts and bolts of a budget. Or even a household budget. If you don't have enough money to pay for your electricity or your food, something's got to go. So it's, I was asked, I was gone for a week playing golf, and a couple of the guys that I grew up with from here said to me, why do you do what you do as a mayor? Because when times like this, you say, well, I'm gone. We can't go. We don't want to go. I don't want to go. We have to sit and bear the accusations. So why don't you folks do this? Why didn't you do that? Why are you not hiring these individuals? Just like a recreation department. We need that. But when you don't have money to pay for your bills, or we have, again, if you look at all the things that we were going through, like the grants, we're grant heavy. And when you're having to pay upfront, 20, 30, 200,000, 400,000, where does that come out of? It comes out of our general fund. And you can't continue to operate. That's why, the one schematic showing that, these are the items that although we're on, hopefully by March of next year, that Royal Theater will be finished, but it's going to take a lot of cutting elsewhere to make that happen, because, these guys aren't going to work for nothing. And, that's my spiel. Go ahead. Let you.
I will just share, I think it's also important that we strengthen our relationships with nonprofit orgs. Mr. Navarro started here in Guadalupe through us art council through the state. And so that's how we got started. I seen his work through art projects. And so how can we leverage working with nonprofits and maybe, them taking on some grants to help us through such
I
difficult
think that's a
times.
good point. We're going to know where we are now with the money we have. And it's up to us to look at other alternatives. You saw a whole bunch of folks here today from Santa Barbara that said they're willing to, to help. And there are individuals that are even as close to Santa Maria or San Luis Obispo County in terms of helping with that recreation side. But that's not where the big ticket items are. They're elsewhere. But that will help Band-Aid what we need to do with Parks and Recreation. So.
Can I make a comment? Kind of to go along with what my associates have said. I think, and David, you said this too, this didn't start overnight. I mean, I think that there's been a perfect storm as to why we've come to this issue, including some, financial changes, different softwares, different people, different management changes and things like that. But now we have a clear picture on where we're at. It seems like we have some folks that do care about the city, do care about the finances, do care about the programs on staff. And but I do think it will take the community to be involved to get this to a place. I mean, we could not only, like shopping and eating local. I mean, that's a thought if we could, but volunteers for Parks and Rec. We do have a big community that we have we have a lot of people there and involved in a lot of things. But if we could all step in, we're all community members as well, to just kind of get the city to where we need to. I had looked at these numbers before, and it's not just on the backs of David and Eli and us. It's really on the backs of everyone. So if just want to say that.
You're not finished with your presentation, but last week I shared with Councilmember Villegas, and she probably doesn't remember this, but there was an article in Buellton that they're doing a lot. They're doing really well. They have a budget of 13, 14 million and a population or a staff of 15. And this was in the newspaper. It showed the Santa Barbara County agencies, the ranking in the state of California, the cities. Buellton per capita gets $706 per person. Caleta gets $391 per person. Solvang gets $363 per person. Santa Barbara gets $336 per person for their budget. Santa Maria gets $283 per person for their budget. Carpinteria gets $164 per person. Lampo gets $162 per person. Santa Barbara Unincorporated gets $91 per person. City of Guadalupe gets $66 per person. And we're ranked 496 out of the state of California and counties out of 540 in terms of the income that we receive. So we're looking at, when you're talking about, the business community, in 2015, the railroad company, Southern Pacific Railroad Company, had a plan to do the lighting there, the lighting system. That changed because new Caltrans people came in and threw that out the window. If we would have had that road finished in 2015 or 2015, and if Caltrans didn't pull $1 billion out of their budget for the road projects, which pushed that project back in the Pasadena area, pushed it back to another 2-3 years. When the housing industry, like Pasadena, when the interest rate goes up, they're not building, because if you have to build a house out of their pocket for $250,000 and sit on that in a bank account for 50 homes, they're not going to do that. If you look at right now what's happening with them, and maybe some people know that, they're having issues with Santa Maria Valley Railroad just to access that property to build. So there's a lot of these factors that come in. All the cuts that we're getting from the feds and from the state, they directly hit us. And if we're only getting $66 per 8,700 people, that's nothing. That's nothing. So this is a good process, because now we know where we are. 2 years ago, when we had ARFA money, wow, we had all this money. We didn't have it all. We didn't have it. And now you folks are finding it for us. And I know that there's a big load on public safety, on administration, on recreation, on everything that we do here. But we need to sit and figure out how we're going to get through this. And then if we have to Band-Aid things like recreation or anything else, we have to do it. So, I'll let you finish. Sorry about that.
No worries, sir. And the last slide is just some key takeaways. It is going to be multi-year. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's just not even possible. And it's going to have the restructuring. We are going to have to perfect our recovery process when it comes to any kind of funds. And then hopefully, working alongside the local business community, we can get some kind of economic development here. And that'll jumpstart, or at least, bolster a little bit of the revenue generating streams that, the city can utilize to come out of this. And then, we're trying to be as transparent as we can. There is some things that we just can't, personnel actions, things like that, we can't make public. But, we did a pretty good job over the last week, getting information out to you folks. And that's something that we're probably going to continue to do along the way. Because it is very important to keep you in the know. And, we work for you. So, making sure that we're in alignment with council goals. But still, doing what we have to do to save the city. It's going to be heartbreaking. Some of the things we're going to have to do. But if we want the city to be here in 12 months, we're going to have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to be a CSD and somebody else is the new board of supervisors are going to be sitting in here instead. So that is all I have. If you guys have any questions.
Not a question, but I think we previously discussed having a monthly or quarterly update on this. Is that something that we're planning? Is that like per month or per quarter?
Well, initially, when Eli first got here, my thought was a quarterly meeting would be sufficient. However, he looked under every rock and found everything that is wrong. So I feel like a monthly is going to be required.
Okay.
At least until we get to a place where we've earned your trust, that you guys can see that we're actually doing the best we can to get out of this. And then, maybe at that point, calm it down a little bit. But in the near future, probably at least the next 12 months, we very much so need to do at least a monthly meeting.
And hopefully, in an effort of transparency with our community, I thought these slides were really transparent. I thought that they were really easy to follow. If we can make something that's just, easy, a lot of people aren't good with numbers, but something that the community can easily see, and maybe like an ongoing graph or something where we can see progress, not just, numbers on a sheet, something like that.
Yeah, and this presentation will be posted tomorrow morning also, as we need to meet requirements. So,
please.
Chief, back to what your comments about the slide on the possible fire cost savings and not having been privy to this until last Friday, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then to you, David, is there going to be more discussion on this with Chief and Eli as far as the feasibility of any of these options?
well, yeah. I think I told somebody, not in one of the meetings we had over the last week, that I didn't want to do anything until I had some kind of actual information, right? And meeting with Chief late was because we were working another angle that would have provided some kind of cost recovery for the city. And maybe in hindsight, meeting with him sooner might have just squashed that pretty quick. But what it did do is give us an actual outline to present to those other locations. I have zero intention of making any changes to any department without having a thorough conversation with that department.
Thank you.
I know that I shared my concerns in regards to this presentation being shared tomorrow. Is there any way, I'm just advocating for, I know that we have some proposed fiscal year budget and then on July 14th approval. If we have presentations, just make it available beforehand. Just because it's a lot of information, it takes me 3 days to understand. And so if somebody's getting it, we want them to be engaged and have thoughtful questions versus getting it here and then just be like, oh my gosh, what questions should I have? I think they should really have this presentation made available just to ask questions. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, but because of that, there's also a lot of stuff behind the scenes that has to go into it. And unfortunately with this one, we weren't able to get everything completed before today. So that's why this one was kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Just advocating for future.
Mm.
Thank you.
You know, you folks are, I know we're having other staff come in, digging into the financial side of things, because we still haven't finished our audit for 22, 23. And so these are preliminary findings, but what if they're worse? What if they're better? But that's what your staff is doing now, to be able to dig in deep to make sure that we have the correct information so that we can make decisions, and that people out in the community know why we're making the decisions that we're making. So,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things also, beginning next month, the new fiscal year, hopefully, fingers crossed, Annette will still want to come back. And what that does is it gives us a dedicated person, local, that can work with our auditors and, scan through all the software and everything and get them the information they need. Because unfortunately, Eli's got budget stuff he has to do. He has to get the master fee schedule going. There's other things that he has to take care of as well. So trying to get him to do all that, we're asking way too much of that. And, we're still utilizing the third-party contractors as well. Because we're just too far. It's already got the Band-Aids on it and it's still not holding it, So, now we're triaging every little angle, whether it's various different accounts that Eli's finding, or that the auditors are pointing out to him that, this is horrible. I don't even know why this is here and why is this here, very like a whole bunch of stuff that's being found. So, trying to provide him with as much resources as we can is kind of our goal. And unfortunately, you guys see the budget, our resources aren't very high. So, but we're gonna make it happen.
And I've talked with several of you, and some of the council have too. You folk care about what's going on. It's not that, it's our problem. You're feeling it as we are, and as the community will be. So, Mira, did you want to speak on, you have a request to speak, please? No? Sure you can. Go ahead.
Is there an update on the city's nonprofit and their role in all of this, or if they have a role in any of this, or what's happening with that, or if it still exists?
Action Commission. It's there. Because there's several groups that are putting money into that. There's a beautification and there's recreation, not recreation, but the baseball field. We received $17,000 donated to that specifically. So yes, that's the only thing I know that's going on. Maybe Eli or David has.
Yeah, all we're kind of doing right now is just accepting money on behalf of the theater, where we aren't to a point where we can be super active as far as like a nonprofit.
Because I wonder if there's an opportunity there too for some of these things to run through there. Hi everyone, my name is Mira. Nice to see you all this evening. I have obviously a vested interest in the Royal Theater project, which has come up in relation to this, but I also just think that some of the issues that have come up tonight are related to issues that have been mentioned earlier today and that have been brought up kind of consistently almost over the last 2 to 3 years. And I realize that it's beneficial to move forward, and it's not about necessarily looking into the past and trying to finger point or blame. But I do think that if there's not a conscious effort and discussion to understand really why, outside of just that the budget's not balanced, but understanding what happened to lead to this point, even for people who are no longer with the city, to get an understanding, that's part of the path of moving forward. And that's part of the path of regaining the trust of the community members. And like you said, in order for this to really positively move forward, engagement has to happen. And engagement happens by people trusting and believing in the people that are representing them to, do what's in their best interest and to also listen to what they're saying. So I just want to reiterate that I think that piece is still kind of missing from this conversation and needs more iteration on how to better that moving forward. And then I also just want to say that a lot of the sort of economic improvements come again from the recreation pieces or from people coming into the community or wanting to stay in the community, and that if you cut things like the recreation department, it might be a very small short-term economic gain, but it's a drastic economic detriment looking forward. And that while there are things that have to happen right now, I encourage that whether it's a committee or a group of people that get together to really advocate for the, things that are going to really benefit the community moving forward on a long-term basis. And I think that piece has also been missing from lots of conversations that I've sat in. And it's sort of, everything feels like it's chasing the wheel instead of looking at it and trying to move forward in a positive way for long-term success. So just want to reiterate that. Thank you.
Just a comment following up on that is that you have a recreation commission.
Yes.
And in the past, and I'll go way back, say 1954, where we had 4 Little League teams. We had 2 Pee Wee League teams. We had 2 fields. The Homes Food Basket, the Japanese family, the Saharas, there's a pamphlet they put out that named all the coaches, all the ball players. And back in 1954, they had $3,000 in the bank, in their account, because people supported that. Many years ago, you had a lighted baseball field here that the city didn't own, but it was a group of, the recreation type folks did that. You have the football program, you have the basketball program, you have things are here, and coaches like this lady here that's going to coach. Good luck. I love coaching. It's we've all been coached at some point, and I think they're bigger. I think just that recreation portion is there if you brought it to the commission, because it does. I received a call from Terry Bauer, your recreation guy, today, that he wants to do another track thing here. And so there are people that'll help with. There's just school programs that they have a school coordinator over there. They have the fields. So we're not forgetting the kids. And if you have football over here, when they could use the field, they had their concession stand made $500-600 a day, and now they have to play elsewhere, not here. So this is a shakeup for our community. Get involved. If there's somebody that needs, say, the baseball field, the football field, the basketball courts, if somebody needs help with that, coaching. Now, I don't know how many coaches are out there. Do you know?
2 of us, or maybe my partner and
Okay, all
another,
right, 2.
yeah.
How many kids?
We had 5.
But how many?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So there's 5 teams local
Okay,
with
good.
59 kids.
Good, yeah. So that's a call for coaches. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, can I make one small comment?
Sure.
Really quickly? So I think my bigger point is that participation rides on people feeling like their participation is accepted, wanted, valued, and encouraged. And I think that those pieces are missing. And so when those pieces get sorted out, then the efforts by the community increase. And so I've personally volunteered many, many hours, and I, was a part of the GBA when it started and for many years. And the consensus is people get really, really involved. They get really, really excited. They get really interested. And then they get met with resistance, whether that's from
who,
the
though?
city.
The city resisting the GBA?
No, I'm saying like resisting certain, I'm not saying resisting, but I'm saying like they're not met with the same enthusiasm, or, I know that I've listened to a couple meetings where residents have come and I would say not been met with the most friendly of, acceptance of what it is that they're saying. And so I think those are the types of things where if that is improved, then the involvement from the community increases as well.
Are you speaking of the council?
Council and various boards.
There's only.
Well, I would say
Recreation
like
Commission
both
here.
the, I personally have gone to the nonprofit and been met with kind of some resistance about suggestions that have been made.
Hmm.
I would say I, just watched the video from the Recreation Commission, and I would say that some of that was not necessarily met with enthusiasm from some of the comments. So I think that that's a fair statement.
Okay.
So, thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melanie Backer and I'm a resident of Guadalupe and I've been part of the Guadalupe Business Association since 2021 and I'm currently the vice president of sponsorship. And I agree, encourage the Guadalupe Business Association to show up and discuss how to all work together. I know that Naomi and Judy of Naomi's, our Aldercott's, our president, has been working on second Saturdays and getting all of the, all the businesses involved. And we've had to put a pause on it just because of all the construction. So again, the construction is kind of putting a big pause. And so the business association, yes, have us in. But I remember so clearly working with the city, with Mira and the GBA, was about vacancies and finding buildings that were vacant. Has stuff been going on with that? I mean, what's going on?
Out of the kindness of his heart, he'll
Yeah.
respond to that. That ball's sort of in my court. The chief had wanted to bring forward some revisions to the ordinance. And when I looked at it, the one of the things we wanted to do to, the idea of the vacant building ordinance is what you're talking about, was to encourage these buildings to do something. The initial fee set for the annual registration requirement was like $100, and that's proven not to be much encouragement for anybody. And the buildings aren't so poorly maintained that we can maintain like code enforcement actions against them. So the idea is to create a fee that reflects the amount of work that would go into the enforcing the ordinance and get that on the books. Unfortunately, the ordinance provides that it's just to be set per square foot, but it doesn't provide any other guidance. And I did legal research, and you can't just do it that way. You have to justify the time and energy that's been spent, or that's spent working. You can't charge more than the cost of the service. And it's been somewhat challenging getting fire and our building department to meet at the same time to discuss a reasonable legal framework. And then now, budget and the election season has pushed that into August. But there's something going on with that.
I mean, but that's been going on for 3 years.
Well, yeah, that's true. But the
And-
council has been
Right.
asking us to move forward on that, and staff, the ball's in staff's court. Sorry.
Right. I understand that. But when we talk about getting more businesses downtown, we have vacant buildings. And so I'm just saying, this stuff has been discussed for 3 or 4 years. And yeah, we're now at this point. But for people that are in the community and keep showing up, a lot of people just don't show up. It is it's all of us can't do the heavy lifting alone. And I know I've been part of the Royal Theater, but back in 2024, again, we can't go back, but June 2024, you had Brooks from the Guadalupe Social Club, you had Mira and Chachi, you had me, you had a bunch of other people who could raise money, and you wouldn't let us raise any money. And now we're here. So it's also, you get people enthusiastic and then you just beat them down. And then they just go, okay, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go to another theater. So yes, we all have to work together, but you guys have kind of pounded people down.
I don't agree with that, but that's my,
But it's my
and
opinion.
That's your opinion, and that's
Yes.
my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Because we don't like to beat people down. I
And
don't.
I'm not, well, and I don't think
And
it's
neither
you,
does the
Mayor.
council,
I don't
so.
think it's you, Mayor. I think it's
I don't think
been,
it's a council either, so.
I don't think it's the
We'll just see.
council. I just think how
Okay.
things have stopped.
I-
But thank
Can I
you.
comment on
Sure,
that?
Please.
Obviously, we have a couple community members coming in and having similar ideas about things, regardless of where we stand. I think the most important thing is we do have new staff. We have folks that are digging in, folks that care, folks that are, are being transparent. I mean, I've had more information about the finances for the city than I have in my entire tenure on the council. So, and like the mayor said earlier, at one point we were told we had a balanced budget. That's the only information we have to go on, is when somebody says, hey, I'm the expert and here's the information. And we trusted that. So there's a multitude of ways that, that we got here. But I think if we all can be optimistic, if we all can work together, I think that we actually can do this together. And I agree. I think that we need to be more open-minded to having folks help us from the community, from associations. I think that we've taken for granted that there are a lot of associations and nonprofits in the city that we can rely on. And now, of course, we're in a budget deficit and we're saying, oh, please help us. We shouldn't have taken it for granted before. So yeah, just as a staff and as a council, if we can be more open-minded to that, and as a community, we can probably move forward and get to a good spot. But yeah, no infighting, no fighting. I've seen some good ideas, good numbers, and we just got to work toward it.
Thank you. Anything else? Follow up, next steps? What do you need from us?
Well, we'd like your blessing to move forward with any kind of action. Well, we're gonna have to make actions. So we would like for you guys to be on board. Obviously, there's still stuff that we have to work out
Still tweaking,
internally.
yeah.
But you guys saw behind the curtain, so you know what's kind of up in the air. Notwithstanding the conversations we have to have internally, but if you guys would give us your blessing, that would be great.
I think on your flyer number, I have number 10 where it says year 1, stabilize finances and stop deficit growth. You have to do that. If you don't do that, then down 3 years, that ain't gonna matter. And the second year is implement restructuring and revenue corrections, restore reserves and stabilize operations. The goal is the structural balance without service collapse. And to me, you'd have the marching orders to move forward with what you presented. That's my opinion. We've got 4 more people here. So.
A motion is not needed, but
Consensus.
it would make us feel warm and fuzzy.
Oh, sorry.
If you have some specific requests to make that require action, but I haven't heard anything, we've just given, the request was for input, the council's given it.
Yeah, I would agree that what was presented here and other information given to the council previously, I would agree to go forward.
And as long as we have easy communication for the community, we communicate with the department heads regarding any changes, anything that would need or possibly need council approval comes back to us. I agree that, some big things happened without us knowing. And yeah, I mean, ultimately that's up to staff's discretion, but we heard from tonight that there is some, apprehension of getting rid of a whole department. And not that that's the intention, but there's some people that are concerned about that. So things like that, I would hope that would be communicated before they happen. But other than that, I think you guys have a good plan.
I just also want to just share, I know that on other unscheduled items, we have the master fee scheduled update. And so as we continue to talk to residents and nonprofit orgs, that they also know that, there might be some fee increases as we continue to talk about the budget and rental.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I see what
That
you're
way
saying.
it's not just, blindsiding people. I didn't know about these fees updates, but as we talk about budgets, they go hand in hand.
Gene, any comments?
I think one thing we need to look at is we already work with a skeleton crew with city employees, and I think we need to look at layoffs or letting go of people as a last resort. Because if we start cutting in certain departments and stuff, it's gonna really affect what work needs to get done outside for the community to have what they deserve to have as, work goes on. I hear the comments of our community members. I understand the thing with the vacant buildings. The thing is, we can't just force people to want to come into Guadalupe, to want to rent, to start a business. We've been in this position several years ago where a council was here that talked about being disincorporated. We've got through it once. I think we'll be able to get through it again. It's just being able to tighten our belt and giving the hard nose on stuff that we can't feasibly afford to do. The presentation was good with everything. Looking at the overtime that is accumulated, looking at, structuring of going out and doing outside things that we might not be able to do is something we might have to look at. But all in all, is if we have to put a hiring freeze, it's understandable. But looking at laying off any of employees is something we need to look at as a last resort of everything. Trying to get tax revenue in here has been something we've been trying for years. It's very hard. Back in about probably 2003, 2004, Pasadena was supposed to start way back then. There was a lot of things that went and slowed down the process. Ongoing. We look at it. I try to do as much as I can as a community member to spend money here to support our local businesses. But there's a lot of things I have to still go out side of our city to do. But moving forward, we just have to be able to tighten that belt until we can get to that threshold where we can. I would love to see some big time corporations, franchises come in, but we have yet to hit the threshold of what they're expecting from us to have that and all. But, going off, the mayor of what he was saying from the presentation, I would just like to iterate, like I said, as letting go of employees with the skeleton crews that we have in certain departments should be one of our last resorts.
Okay, I just want to echo what Councilman Fernandez said regarding financial information. And I know that there was a struggle just on the Royal Theater to find out where are we? But I think with a little bit of coaxing, that information is coming forward as will where we are with our budgets and stuff. So, and we need that, like I said, monthly, just to get an update on where we're at. So, so you have our direction.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, you all.
Thank you to the community members that came. I just
Right.
encourage you to continue to stay engaged, and I'm open for dialogue. You guys can send me an email whenever you'd like.
All right, future agenda items.
I have a request. I am going to ask that we have a joint commission meeting
With who?
with the Recreation Commission. I don't think we've had one this year.
Fine with me. I think it's needed.
Yeah, I don't have a date in mind, but I just want to make sure that it's proposed and it's there so that way we can start coordination before the end of the year.
Will do.
Okay, next is announcements, council activity reports. Emilia, you want to?
Let's see. I attended the GBA meeting I think it was last week, where Stephanie talked about different things she's looking at doing and different things that are happening in the city. Participated in the food bank again, and to my mind, this was the second month where it appeared there were less people coming. And
It's a
I don't-
busy picking season.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that more the walk up is where it seems less for the past 2 months.
There was 40
Yeah.
walk up and a total of 124 return and 163. By the way, thank you and everybody else that volunteered.
You were gone.
I was gone.
Yeah. I also attended last Thursday, I think it was, BACA Youth with the Boys and Girls Club. Chief was there and his troops. This is the first time I participated, and it actually turned out to be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Got a free T-shirt too. What was interesting is that the gentleman who was the narrator there, the MC, I forget his name. He mentioned this was the first year that there were one mentor and one youth. Whereas in prior years, there's a mentor, maybe 2 or 3 youths attached. So that was kind of cool. That was kind of neat. Also wearing dual hats as a council member and as Friends of the Guadalupe Library, attended the lunch on the lawn at Mackenzie. That was last Friday. I was told that this is the first time it happened at Mackenzie. I think it happened previously at Mary Buren, yeah. And parents and family members brought lunch and they had lunch on the lawn. What was interesting is that the 6th grade class, which is going to be, you don't call it graduated, what do you call it? Promoted? Okay, to the junior high. Each grade teacher for each class of the 6th graders announced the students. It's a very large class, very large going to their junior high. And lastly, speaking of the Friends of the Library, the summer reading program began June 1st. It runs June through July for the youth. And you simply go to the library and say you want to sign up for the program, and they give you the specs on it. You read for a certain period of time for the 2 months. It's not a matter of number of books, but you read 4 consecutive days in each week of this 2-month period. Once you complete it, you can get a T-shirt. I saw the T-shirt, really, really cool emblem. It says "Plant a seed to read," kind of neat. And the youth is 17 and younger. There is an adult program as well, same period of time. And that's just a matter of, that one is reading certain minutes for the 2-month period. Last year for the adults, it was reading 5 books in the 2 months, which was kind of tight, but this time they line it up a little bit. So if anybody's interested, you just simply go to the library. That's it.
Okay. Jean. Okay.
Okay.
What's the journey yet?
I attended field day at Mary Buren, had a great time helping supervise kindergarten. I also attended lunch on the lawn at McKinsey and was happy to see Councilmember Villegas advocate for reading. My daughter begged me to make sure that I had my ID, which I got in trouble because I forgot it to sign up. And then I also attended karaoke night at Social Club. And so I see many of you guys missed it. You guys did not get to hear me sing, thankfully.
Sure.
But that is
Did you
happening.
record it?
No, it does happen monthly. And so encouraging our residents just to ensure that, we are shopping and dining local. I also participated in the Little Leagues, and Councilmember Villegas will be happy. There is a reading component, and we encourage our players to read. And if they read, they have a calendar that they have to submit. And if all my French Fry individuals read, we get an opportunity to actually visit the Giants game.
Good.
And so that's really
Can I
exciting.
join?
And then I do have a request of council. I don't know if this is appropriate, but Future Leaders of America did reach out to ask if the city of Guadalupe would sign on to their letter requesting that the County Board of Supervisors create a youth fund through the cannabis tax. And this was also supported by our supervisor, Lavanino. And it's just a sign-on letter. They would create a line item for youth and supporting them for leadership, mental health.
You're talking individual. For individuals to sign on.
Like city, as a city of
Okay, then
Guadalupe.
Okay, then.
Yeah, and so my
the
request,
letter, yeah.
is if David would, it's just a sign on, you would just say, City of Guadalupe supports this. And so asking if council members would be happy to support that as a city.
No, good. Yeah, just,
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand. It may be an action item for
Okay.
a future meeting, so maybe we can talk after
Perfect. Thank you.
or later about that.
Thank you.
Mr. Costa. Yeah.
Today was our promotion for our junior high students, who are promoting going on to high school. Our food bank, well, the food bank that they do at the school, they did about 250 families last Tuesday. They average about between 250 to 280. Like the first Tuesday or so. I think it was supposed to be this, well, would have been the second Tuesday, but they had it last week. And other than that, that's it. Oh, and tomorrow is the last day of school.
Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned Rigetti graduates Thursday at 9:00. I have a North County regional meeting, sub-regional meeting tomorrow at Solvang. There will be a food bank July 2nd. People are thinking, well, it's too close to July 4th, but that's Thursday, July 4th. And there's 4 food bank operations here in town, so everybody's hitting, which is good. That's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Let me pleasure you
I'm
guys
sorry.
with, I'll motion to adjourn.
Beans, I'm sorry.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Any second?
Oh, okay, I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.